So let's start the session, guys. So we are in the management accounting for CA, the level one. As you know, we are in the stage of covering the cost accounting parts of part A, that is under the 35% of your syllabus. So a small recap that we have covered the introduction to management accounting section, and we are still in the cost classification area. In the previous session, I have covered most of your cost classification syllabuses. It's around 80%. And in this today's session, we are going to cover the mathematical parts in the cost classification and some calculation methods as well. So far we have covered components of production services, direct and indirect costs, and the cost classification for the profit and stock valuation, and what are the trends in labor cost, and the theories and the calculations of production cost, and how we can calculate the full cost of sales, and functional wise how we are gonna classify the cost, and the other part is the production period cost, behavioral cost, and how we are going to classify the cost for decision making, like relevant cost, irrelevant cost, controllable cost, uncontrollable cost, avoidable cost, unavoidable cost. So those areas we have covered. And in this today's session, we are going to cover these four critical areas for your examination success. That is cost estimation using high-low method. This is a very important method even in your ACCA studies or other studies in other professional qualifications. With your degrees also, you can see that method, a very famous method to calculate the cost estimation. And that's the method we are going to discuss about today, the cost estimation using high-low method. And again, the cost estimation with the scatter diagrams and regression method and linear regression analysis. And after that, the final method is cost estimation using the correlation, coefficient, and rank correlation. So these are very much related with statistics areas and business mathematics areas. And we are gonna match that with the cost classification parts as well. So the first, the cost estimation using the high-low method, my dear. You know, we have to analyze the cost. So we have analyzed the cost like period cost, avoidable cost, unavoidable cost, relevant cost, irrelevant cost, and fixed cost, semi-fixed cost, variable cost. Those are some kind of analyzing the cost types. So the cost categories are, we have identified as a variable cost and semi-variable cost and fixed cost so far. So why we are analyzing the cost? The objective is we have to separating semi-variable cost into fixed and variable elements. It means the objective of this high-low method, okay? I'm talking about the objective of this high-low method is in some cost behaviors, there will be some fixed cost as well as the variable element. As you know, there are so much of questions we have did. Even if it is an electricity charge, there is a fixed standing charge. With that, there will be a variable charge for the consumption of the kilowatts you have used. So if we want to separate how much in the total cost the fixed element, and also how much in the semi-variable cost the actual variable total cost. So that's a method we are going to use. The method name is high-low method. So the common cost estimation techniques to separating the semi-variable cost into fixed and variable elements is high-low method, right? Did you understand? For example, guys, you notice that in our Zoom class cost, we have internet usage and some assistant time, it changes depending on how many students you handle in the month, right? Some part of the cost, it stays the same, it's fixed charges, and some part increases once some more students joins. It's variable, right? Like that, in every cost, sometimes we will have semi-variable elements, so there will be a fixed cost, also variable cost. So if we want to separate the semi-variable, if we want to separate from the semi-variable as a fixed and variable elements, we are going to use this method as called high-low method. So what are the high-low method steps? Very simple method. There are 4 steps we have to follow. The first step is select the activity levels, right? So activity levels means the units produced, the output produced, the sales volume, whatever. So the activity levels, we have to identify the periods for 2024, 25, 26, or 1 month, it doesn't matter. So identify the periods with the highest level of activity, also the lowest level of activity. So what does it mean? It means in your question paper, they will give the highest number of units produced or highest number of sales they have produced, whatever the activity level. So they will provide highest activity level, also one lowest activity level. Then after that, we have to determine the relevant total. So the first is we have to determine the activity level. Not we are going to start with the actual cost. First, we have to see in the two extreme points what is the highest activity level and what is the lowest activity level, and the total cost at both highest and lowest activity. Total cost in the sense, this total cost in your examination paper also they will provide. It includes some variable parts, also some fixed parts also. So we have to identify the total cost at both highest and lowest activity. So highest activity means the number of units produced in a high numbers, high volumes. Lowest activity means the low number of units. And the total units at both highest and lowest activity. So the units also. Here we are gonna identify the units. In the highest activity level, how much units we have produced. For example, if we made a cost around 100,000, that is our highest cost. And what is the units we have produced for that highest cost? That is the total units at both highest, also in the lowest activity. And after that, we have to calculate the variable cost per unit. So to calculate the variable cost per unit, this is the high-low method formula, right? So you have to put the total cost at high activity level and the total cost at low activity level. So first we have to determine the total units at high activity level, the corresponding cost at high activity level, and the total units at low activity levels, the corresponding the cost at low activity level. If you did this formula, you will have the variable cost per unit. You will receive the number, the variable cost per unit. So once we calculate this per unit variable cost, then we can determine the fixed cost because we will have the highest units also with the lowest unit. So we can apply this variable cost per unit for the highest number of units produced or lowest activity units, because the fixed cost is going to be changed for the both extreme points, right? So we can determine the fixed cost. So it might be in the initial stage, it will be it can see for you as a complex formula, but it's a very easy method when I'm gonna explain to you. So we will have some questions directly. So then only you can understand very clearly how it is easy. So in your revision kit questions, I think we did almost 60% of your questions, and the 40% of your questions we still have. So we have covered in the previous session these question areas 2.1, 2.10, and we have to do this 2.15. So in this 2.15, here is the question. The following data relate to the overhead expenditure of a contract cleaners at two activity levels, right? So this is the overhead expenditure. Overhead expenditure means they didn't mention it is as a production overhead or non-production overhead. This is just an overhead. So there might be some variable cost, there might be some fixed cost. So for contract cleaners at two activity levels means there are two number of activity levels, like square meters cleaned, right? They have cleaned square meters 12,750 and 15,100. So there are two activity levels. So what is the highest activity level here? If you're gonna identify what is the highest activity level here, I just want to check your knowledge, what you are getting from my lecture. What is the highest activity level here from the square meters clean? There are two numbers, 12,750 and 15,100. What is the highest here? What is the highest here, guys? Yes, Aparna, correct. What about other people? What is the highest activity level or highest number of units produced or highest number of whatever the output have generated? I just need an answer. It's a simple question I'm asking. Shubhashni, I'm not asking highest cost. I'm asking highest activity level. Activity level, it means the number of units produced or the square meters cleaned. That is 15,100 square meters. Right. Then what is the lowest activity level here? The lowest activity level is 12,750 square meters cleaned. So the corresponding total cost for the highest activity level is 8,35,850. The corresponding total cost for the lowest activity level 12,750 is 7,39,500. Okay. So what is the estimate of the overheads if 16,200 square meters are to be cleaned? The question is, they're going to ask you, if 16,200 square meters are to be cleaned, how much the estimate overheads? So please remember, guys, if you are seeing some questions in this area with the two activity levels and there are two cost related for the corresponding activity levels, that is definitely high-low method. But very explicitly, they are not going to ask you use the high-low method to do these questions. No, they are not going to ask you. So you have to remember and you have to identify, you have to recognize that this is the high-low method question because of the question format. Also, this total cost 7,39,500 or rupees 8,35,850 is the total overhead that is contains overhead cost like fixed cost, also variable cost. So how can we fix this? So here's the question. I'm gonna do this question for you. So let's do this question. Right. So first we have to have a formula, the high-low method formula. Right. So high-low method formula. So the high-low method formula is simply this. First, you have to identify the highest activity level. As per in your theories also I have mentioned, we have to select the activity levels. The first highest activity level and the lowest activity level. So the highest activity level is 15,100, right? So we are gonna have one formula. In that formula, the bottom area, right? We are gonna have the bottom area with the units and the top area with the cost associated with that units. So first we have to identify the total units, right? TU, total units at high activity level, right? Then we have to take away the total units at low activity level, right? So this is the first thing you have to do. Once you identify the total at highest activity level, as well as the total units at low activity level, and after that we have to identify for this high activity level, what is the units. So the total units or output, whatever they're giving in the exam. So the total cost at high activity level. And we have to take away the total cost at low activity level, right? The important part is first we have to identify the high activity level, right? For that, the high activity level cost, right? So the high is matching with the high top and bottom. And here the total cost at low activity level, it should match with the total units at low activity level should match with the total cost at low activity level, right? So this is the formula we have to identify and understand. So once you did this formula, what you will have? You will reach the variable cost per unit or per square meter, whatever the unit they are offering, right, in the exam. So this is the method. So if we are gonna replace this text with the numbers, the total units at high activity level is, as you know, there are two activity levels. The square meters clean, 12,750, 15,100. Obviously, the highest square meters clean is 15,100. That is the total units at high activity level, right? So 15,100, then take away the lowest activity level is 12,750. So we have to take away this 12,750. That's the bottom part. And the top part is we have to identify for this 15,100 how much we have made a cost. For this 12,750 how much is the cost. So for this 12,750 highest activity level, the cost is 7,39,500. So 7,39,500. Take away for this lowest activity level, right? That is, sorry, highest activity level, the cost is 15,100 is the highest activity level. So the cost is 8,35,850. Then for the lowest activity level, 12,750, the cost is 7,39,500. Right? So I have replaced this text actually with the numbers. So then I can end up with a variable cost per unit. So how can I make it? Just say 8,35,850, take away 7,39,500, that is 96,350. Then 1,500 take away 12,750, it is 18,000, 13,830. So then we can end up with a variable cost that is 6.97. No, this is wrong, right? So 12,750. This is 12,750. So 41. So variable cost per unit, it's not a per unit actually, per square meter, right? So we can say per square meter, the variable cost is going to be 41 rupees. Did you understand? Did you understand the high-low method? How we can use this high-low method formula to calculate the variable cost per unit? So Zuha, shall I get a sono quickly, please, from all the people? We have to cover a lot of areas. Vidurshan, did you understand? Shwadi, Shubhashini, Shifa, Netra, Nuha, Razak, Nishos, Rinosha, Fazmi, Lakshan, Kavita, Jamuna, Ilma, Hajra, Danushika, Balini, Aparna, Amjad, Avsar. Right? Very simple, right? We have to start from the highest activity level. We have to identify the lowest activity level. And we have to see what is the total cost for this highest activity level. What is the cost for the lowest activity level? Very simple question. Then we will identify the, so selecting the activity level is a step one, and determine the relevant cost. It means the total cost at the both highest and lowest activity level, the total units at the both highest and activity level. And after the third step is calculate the total cost per unit. Then the final step is we have to determine the fixed cost. How we can determine the fixed cost? You know, fixed cost is fixed regardless of the units we have produced. So even if we produce 12,750 square meters cleans, or even if we cleaned 15,100 square meters, the fixed cost is fixed, right? So we can apply. So how can we apply is, you know, the total cost formula, right? You know, the total cost formula is variable cost, total variable cost, TVC, plus total fixed cost, right? Total fixed cost. This is the total cost formula. So now, how can I determine the fixed cost area only? We know the total cost in two extreme level of activity, the lowest and also highest. We can apply in both. For example, if I'm going to apply for the 15,100, right? For 15,100, I know if I want to identify the total fixed cost area, from the total cost, I have to take away, right? From the total cost, if I'm gonna identify the TFC value only, from the total cost, if I remove the total variable cost, the remaining parts absolutely it's going to be the TFC, total fixed cost, right? So for the total fixed cost, I have to take this total cost and we have to take away this total variable cost out of the total cost. So the total cost in 15,100 highest activity level, it is 8 lakhs 35,850. So I'm taking 8 lakh 35,850 is the total cost in the highest activity level. Then I'm gonna remove the variable cost part. So what is the variable cost part? If it is 8,35,850 units, 850 cost, the units are 15,100. Then for 1 square meters cleaned, we know 41 is going to be cost. So if I'm removing this part, I can get the fixed cost. So 8 lakh 35, 380. Sorry, 8 lakh 850, right? 8 lakh 35, 850. That is 850. So 800,000, 8 lakh 35, 850. Take away this 1500 into 41. We will end up with this amount, 2 lakh 16,750, right? This is going to be our total fixed cost, right? So our question is, what is the estimate of the overheads if 16,200 square meters are to be cleaned? So we can make some estimation with the use of these informations we have gathered right now. So if 16,200, right, according to the question, this is what they're asking, right? If 16,200 square meters cleaned, the total fixed cost is going to be the same, that is 2,16,750. We only know the we only want to know the TVC part, total variable cost. How can we calculate that one? Very simple. We know 16,200 is square meters we are going to clean. For 1 square meter, the variable cost is 41, right? So we can get the total variable cost 16,200 into 41. It will be 6,64,200, right? So the total cost is going to be how much? The total cost, it means the total overhead is going to be 2,16,750 plus this variable cost. It is going to be 8,80,950, right? So this is the overhead. Yes, we have to add both fixed cost also variable cost. So the answer is going to be 8,80,950. That is in the B. Did you understand the method? Even you can apply to calculate this total fixed cost with the lowest activity level also. So if you're going to take this lowest activity level 12,750, okay, so the calculation will be like this. For this 12,750, the total cost, that is including the variable cost as well as the fixed cost, is 7 lakh 39,500. So that's the total cost. So you have to take away the variable cost portion. How can you do that? That is rupees 41 for 1 square feet cleaned, the variable cost. So if it is 7,39,500 is the total cost, there should be only 12,750 is cleaned. So 12,750 is cleaned. So we can get the total variable cost. So if we do the math, you can get the same answer, 7,39,500. We have to take away the amount, that is 41 into 12,750. Then we will get the same number, 2,16,750. So either you can use the lowest activity level cost or highest activity level cost. You can end up with the same fixed cost, because regardless of the number of units or the level of activity, the fixed cost is fixed even if in the 0 square meters cleaned. Did you understand this question, my dear? Please let me know. Shaida, did you get what does it mean by the high-low method and the calculation? First, we have to determine the highest activity level and the lowest activity level. And after that, we have to determine what is the total cost for the highest activity level, what is the total cost for the lowest cost activity level, and match the formulas and put the formulas, and you will end up with variable cost per unit. So with a variable cost per unit, we can apply that variable cost per unit to the lowest activity level or highest activity level to separate the fixed cost. Then, if the question is asking what is the fixed cost, we can give the answer. Or the question is asking in a particular lowest activity level or highest activity level, what is the variable cost, we can answer. Or the question is asking a separate level of activity and what is the total fixed or total variable cost or total cost, we can answer the question. Right? That's what. It's very simple and clear approach. Right? So then let's move. So this is the high-low method steps. You have to identify the levels and the relevant totals and variable costs and determine the fixed cost and answer the questions according to the requirement. And the graph demonstrate the high-low method is here, guys. So now you can identify and understand the graph very clearly. So if we take the total cost in this axis and the level of activity in this axis, so there are 2 points, the low activity level as well as the high activity level. From this low activity level, if you are coming here, we can receive the total cost. And in the high activity level, if you go up, you can receive the total cost level at the high activity level. Right? So in this point, the fixed cost is always a fixed cost. The fixed cost is always a fixed cost. The total cost behaving like a semi variable or semi fixed cost. So it will start the total cost with a fixed cost contains. So the graph will be like for the total cost. So this is the fixed cost elements, right? So the distance between the total cost as well as the level of activity is the fully total cost. But the distance between the total cost and the fixed cost is variable cost. So from the level of activity 0 to fixed cost, that's a fixed cost element. So now we are separating using the two extreme points. So you don't need to fully understand the high-low method, how it's working, but just for the sake of understanding in your syllabus, this is how the high-low method is working. And what are the advantages and disadvantages of high-low method is, the first advantage is it's simple and understandable, right? They will give two activity levels and two cost related to that. We have to apply in the formula and we have to calculate the variable cost and we have to determine the fixed cost and we have to answer the questions. Very simple, understandable. And minimal data required. We only need the 2 points. One highest activity level and lowest activity levels and related cost. Those are the advantages. The disadvantages are its potential inaccuracies due to reliance on two extreme points. We are only relying on two extreme points that are highest activity level and lowest activity level to determine the variable cost per unit. So there might be some potential inaccuracy. The accuracy problem may be occur. And limited representation of typical conditions. So there is no fast rules like always the highest activity level it is going to be the same, always the lowest activity level is same. No, this is not a typical representation of the actual production area or the actual working area. So these are the disadvantages, right? So you have to know just only these details about this high-low method, then you are good to go with the questions. And let's do this other question also for this high-low method. So 2.15 is we have done, and the other questions we have to do is 2.21. I think this 2.21 also related with the high-low method. See, BLLC has recorded the following data in two most recent periods. So the total cost of production in rupees thousands, right, 13,500, 18,300. The volume of production in units 700 and 1,100. What is the best estimate of the company's fixed cost per period? I hope so you are with your calculators and everything. What is the answer? Using the same high-low method. Right. So for this 2.21, let's do the question. So I will just take the same formula from the previous question, right? So this is the formula. So we have to identify the total units at highest activity level, the bottom parts first, right? We have 700 units and 1,100 units. So 1,100 units is the highest level of activities. So 1,100 units. Then we have to take away the total units at lowest activity level, that is 700, right? Then the corresponding cost areas. For this 1,100 volume of productions, we have incurred the total cost 18,300. Then we have to take away The lowest activity level 700, we have incurred the cost of 13,500 in 1000 terms, right? So we can get variable cost per unit, right? So that is going to be 18,300 take away 13,500. It is going to be 4,800. This 4,800 divided by 1,100 take away 700. It is going to be 400, right? So then 4,800 divided by 400, we can get 12. So 12 per unit. That is the variable cost per unit, right? Then we have to determine the total fixed cost. So how can we determine the total fixed cost right now? For the total fixed cost, we want to know the total cost either at highest activity level or lowest activity level. I will take the highest activity level. So the highest activity level, it contains 18,300 as a total cost. From the total cost, I'm going to remove the variable cost part. So variable cost part, rupees 12 per unit. So for this 18,300 total cost, we have produced 1,100 units. So 1,100 units. So we can get the total fixed cost area. So 18,300 take away 12 into 1,100. We can take this. So 5,200 is the fixed cost element, right? So our question is asking what is the best estimate of the company's fixed cost per period? So it is going to be 5,100 in rupees 1,000. So the question also they're asking in rupees 1,000. So the answer is going to be the C. Is it okay, guys? Yes, Abhi, your answer is correct. Balan is correct. Vidurshan, did you understand the high-low method? How we are gonna answer the question? Swati, Subhashini, Shifa, Netra, did you understand? Nizos, are you there? Rinosha, Fazmi, Kavita, Jamuna, Danushika, Balini, Aparna, Amjad, Abhirami, Abhi, Adil. Right. It makes sense, right? So that's how the high-low method is coming. Very simple method, guys. We don't need to worry about much. Right. Now we will move to the other method. So the cost estimation using a high-low method is done. And the cost estimation we are gonna do using the scatter diagrams method and regression method. So there are two methods we are gonna analyze. The first one is I'm gonna introduce something called correlation, right? So correlation, what does it mean by this correlation? So correlation, coefficient, there are a lot of areas we have already discussed. If you are a AAT students, we have already discussed in this business mathematics areas in the level 1. But I will go with the introduction. So that is always good for all the people here. Right. So the correlation occurs when changes in one variable lead to changes in another variable. So changes in one variable, right? Changes in one variable lead to changes in another variable, right? So there will be a correlation between those variables. So the example of correlated variables are the height and weight, right? The height and weight are correlated with each others. That's what the doctors are mentioning. You have to have a weight according to your height and the distance traveled and the time taken, right? So the Google map is showing if you are gonna take your vehicle with a particular distance, how much time you are gonna take, right? So these are correlated. It is related with each others. That's what we are calling this a correlated one, right? I hope so. I'm making sense with you. So let's move on. And scatter diagram. So before we move to the scatter diagrams, guys, the concept of correlation is when one thing changes, the another thing tends to change too, right? If the height is going to increase, the weight also going to increase or decrease, right? If you are going for a 1 kilometer to 10 kilometer, the time is going to be changed. So the correlations, when one thing changes, another things, it's tend to change too. For example, more discounts lower profit. It's a negative correlation, right? If you're going to give more discounts for your customers, you will end up with lower profit, right? So that's the correlation. And the scatter diagrams, so scatter graphs. So scatter graphs are like this. For these two variables, like selling cost, sales volume. So these are two variables, right? So the sales volume means number of units we have sold and the cost we have incurred for that sales. So if we are gonna correlate these two areas or two variables in a graph, if we are gonna make more sales, right, then we will end up with more selling cost, right? It's very usual, a linear positive relationship. So if we correlate these points with the selling cost and the sales volume, you can see some sort of area that it is a linear relationship, right? So the scatter diagrams visually represent the relationship between two variables. So visually the relationship between two variables. All right, that is the scatter diagrams. So we can plot pairs of related data to identify a patterns or trends, right? So there will be two items, like for example, in the 100 units, what's the selling cost? 200 units, what's the selling cost? 300 units, what's the selling cost? 150 units, what is the selling cost? So if you plot the pairs of related data, so you can predict there's a trend line. That's a increasing positive relationship trend line, right? So the examples are, the if you plot monthly selling cost against the sales volume over 12 months period, for over 12 months period, monthly selling cost against the sales volume, you can have a positive correlation. A clear upward trend shows higher sales volume associated with the higher selling cost. So in your analysis, you can assume if you are selling in higher volumes, right? The higher volumes, definitely there will be higher selling cost, right? Higher selling cost also. That's usual. A line of best fit can be drawn through data points by judgment to highlight the trend. The line of best fit means the line in the graph. According to the data we have plotted, we can draw a line. There is a positive relationship. That is called line of best fit. This is the line of best fit, right? So that is scatter diagrams, guys. And the definitions you have to know here. It's very important to understand. So the scatter diagram means it shows how two variables relate using dots on a graph. You can spot patterns like the more this, the more that, like that, right? Now the definitions. So correlation means a relationship or connection between two things. Example, as the temperature increases, both ice cream and cold drink sales increase. In a very hot times, right? A temperature increases in like 29, 30, 32. The ice cream sales also going to increase, and the cool drinks like cold drinks sales also increase. So there's a correlation. There's a relationship between two item sales. So positive correlation means one thing increases, the other also increases. That is positive correlation. There are two variables, right? So one variable increases at the same time, another variable also increases. That's a positive correlation. For example, if you study more, you will earn higher marks, right? If you consistently join the live Zoom classes, you are going to take high marks in your examinations. So there is a positive correlation in your attendance as well as in your exams marks, right? So positive correlations. So if we are going to take 30 students and we are going to analyze the 30 students marks for the BL6 exams, who is going to take highest marks is the person who attended classes regularly, watched the classes regularly, right? Practice the revision kits. So that's a positive correlation. And negative correlations means when one thing increases, right? When one thing increases, the other is going to be decrease. That is the negative correlation. So the example is the more exercise, the less weight in some cases. So you are doing exercises every week, right? And you are going to increase more exercises and you are going to lose the weight. you're going to have a less weight. So one increases and one decreases. That is negative correlation. And there is an important word called spurious correlation. Right? Spurious correlation means, guys, a fake or misleading connection. We are misleading. That means the two things look related. Okay? Understand the word look related. It means not absolute true. That is not an absolute relationship with them, but it looks related, but they are both influenced by a third factor. Right? Not influenced by each other. There is a third factor. For example, the ice cream sales and droning incident. Droning incident means in the hot times we will go to the beach and do some droning, right? With the boats. So the ice cream sales and droning incidents both increases in a summer, right? Both increase in a summer, but due to hot weather, right? There is no correlation between both items. Both are separated items. But a third factor, hot weather, it's influenced the ice cream sales, also droning incidents. It look related, but both are influenced by third factor. That's why called spurious correlation. And direct causation means one thing directly causes the other. For example, pressing the switch, light turns on. If you press the switch, only the lights turn on. So it is a direct causation. The cause of effect is direct. Right? So these are the words you have to understand for your question area. So direct causation, spurious correlations means it looks related, but it influenced by third factor. And you know negative correlation and positive correlations. And what does it mean by correlation? So these are the definitions. And the degrees of correlations, correlation strength and direction vary, right? Strength mean how much the two variables have correlated. The strongness, right? The first one is perfect correlation. It means the graph will be like this. If you plot the x and y variables, it looks like this or it looks like this as a linear graph. It means, guys, all data points lie exactly along a straight line. If you are getting a straight line, when you plot the two pair of dots, you will get a straight line. That is positive correlation. Oh, sorry, perfect correlation. It might be positive or negative. It is a positive correlation. This is a negative correlation. But it is a perfect correlation. All the points are in the straight line. And it shows an exact linear relationship. Linear relationship means the curve is linear. We are not getting points here and there. We are getting the point very linear. So perfect correlations, it involves with a linear relationship, my dear. Not non-linear curves. It will be a linear curve. It might be negative or positive, but it's a linear relationship between the variables, right? And partial correlation. So partial correlations means the points are close to a line, but not perfect. The points like this. When we are plotting the x and y values, we will have here, 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 like this. But we can have a line of best fit according to the patterns we are seeing. So otherwise like this. So this is a partial positive correlation. This is a partial negative correlation, not a perfect one. So it's not exact, but clear association. We can see a clear association between these two variables, but not a perfect one. We can see a clear association of positive relationship, a clear association of negative relationship, but not exact, right? So the positive partial relationship means it's important to understand the higher x relates to higher y, right? Again, I'm highlighting here the higher x values, it's going to associate with the higher y value. What does it mean by? Here, for the positive correlation, positive partial correlation from the first graph, if the x is in the lowest point, the y also we are going to receive in the lowest point. The x is in the highest level, the y also we are going to receive in the highest level, right? The highest level is associated with the highest x. The lower y associated with the lower x. So that's what it's called, positive partial relationship. So higher x related to higher y. And the negative correlations, it is something different. The higher x relates to lower y, right? So the x values of higher will related to the lower values of y. How it possible? Here see, if you see the negative relationship, when you're plotting, here is the x value, here is the y value. So the x value in the low items, right, low terms, but y value is in the high. If you take here, the x value is in the highest, but low value of y, right? So that's what you have to understand, the positive partial correlation and negative partial correlation. And no correlation means, the no correlation is data points are random. We cannot identify any association, or we cannot draw any line of best fit. So we cannot identify here whether it's a positive correlation or negative correlations. We cannot draw a line of best fit to say the correlation type. So there's no relationship between these variables. Data points scattered randomly. We cannot draw a line of best fit line to say, okay, it is a positive partial relationship or negative partial relationship or perfect positive or perfect negative. We cannot say from this data plotted. So that is no correlation, partial correlation, and perfect correlation. Did you understand, guys? Did you understand what does it mean by scatter diagrams and how we are gonna identify the perfect partial no correlations, and how the x and y values are associated in the positive partial and negative partials? Did you get the points? Vidurshan, Shwati, Subhashini, Shifa, Netra, Nizos, Rinosha, Fazmi, Mohammed, Kavita, Jamuna, Danushika, Balini, Aparna, Amjad, Afzar, Abhirami. I hope so. You're getting my points. So the correlation can be negative or positive as per our discussion right now. So positive correlation means higher values of one variable associated with the higher values of another. Again, I am repeating because so many times they are asking these questions in your revision kit, also in final examination. The higher values of x values is associated with the higher values of y values, that is positive correlation. And negative correlations means the higher values of x or y will associated with the lower values of x or y, right? So the highest values of one variable associated with the lower values of another variable, it is absolutely negative correlation, right? It might be negative partial or negative perfect, but positive and negative we can determine according to the x and y values associated. So these are the things you have to know about the cost estimation, scatter diagrams, and regression method. Right. So it is actually scatter diagrams only, right? Scatter diagrams. And now regression analysis, right? So the regression analysis is linear regression analysis. This is a statistical method, guys, right? This is a mathematics finding the best possible straight line formula, right? Here in the scatter diagrams, we are drawing the best fit of line, just seeing in our eyes, okay, this is correlated positively, this is correlated negatively from our estimation. But here we are actually gonna use some statistical method to draw the lines or the formula or function of the linear line. So the statistical method called least squares method to find the precise line of best fit, right? Here we are not going to judge with our own eyes. We are going to use a formula to precise the line of best fit. That's the word you have to remember, the line of best fit. It means the line we are going to draw in the graph. So we can predict one variable, it means the dependent y from another independent x. Always the x values are independent because those are the known variables. We know the variables. Those are in an independent, right? The dependent variables are estimations. We are going to use that function to estimate the cost, estimate the number of units gonna produced, estimate the output. That is a dependent variable. So the regression equation is here. The y is equal to a plus bx, right? Y is equal to a plus bx. So the y, it is a dependent variable because it depends on the x changes, right? So the x is an independent variable. its change first. And according to the x change, we will determine the y value. So always the y is then estimation, the forecast values. So the x is going to be the known values. We know already the x value. So according to the known values, we are going to estimate the estimation part. A is normally a constant and B is the slope of the curve. In terms of fixed cost and fixed cost and variable cost, the x is going to be the independent thing that is going to change first. Y is going to be the estimation and B is always a variable cost per unit and A is going to be the fixed cost, a constant. So the y is a dependent variable, guys. Always remember that word dependent because y value is depend on the x performance. So x increase or decrease, y will change. It is an estimating variable in your question. Always we are going to estimate the y values in your questions because y is the dependent variable. So the x is always an independent variable. So x is always an independent variable because it doesn't depend on anything. It change first. Right? This is a known variable also. This is well known variable of business. So using this variable, we are going to estimate the y variable, that is the dependent variable. And A is the constant, it's not changing. Normally in our questions, it is a fixed cost. And B is a slope, normally in management accounting, that is a variable cost per unit. Right? So this is how you have to use this formula. So to determine this A plus B, because Y it is an estimate and X is a known things. So we have to determine this A also B to draw this line of best fit formula. So for that formula, to calculate this A and B, there is a formula. The formula you have to remember. There is no way. You have to remember in your head. And also this is already in AAT syllabus is also. So the B n sigma xy take away sigma x sigma y and it is divided by number of sigma x squared take away sigma squared sigma x over squared. So the A formula is here, B formula is here. Where is the n is the number of pairs of data. If we are using 5 pairs of data, that is 5. Right? According to the question, we can see. So the x is number of data pairs. So n is the number of data pairs. X is the independent variable, as I told already. Dependent variable is y. So this is the formula we are going to use. Right? So we will do some questions. Then we can come and see the actual details. Right? The first question is 2.30. In the equation y is equal to a plus bx, that is the least square method equation, which is the dependent variable. Just now I have told you. What is your answer for 2.30? What is your answer, guys? Is it y is the dependent variable or x is the dependent variable? I need answer from all the people. Fazmi is choosing A, Netra is choosing A, Fazmi is choosing A, Rinosha, A. Shwati, Y, it means A, right? Okay, Abhirami, all the people are? Okay. So A is the answer because always you have to remember the X is the independent variable. It change first and according to the change, the Y is going to be change. So the known variables are X, the estimating variables are Y. So according to that, the answer is going to be A, right? So that is 2.30. And let's do the other question, 2.31. Right? 2.31. So they're asking, delete the wrong words. Right. Here, see, this one we have to see some theories right now. Okay, so then we can do this 2.32. Between sales of sun and cream and sales of cold drinks, sun and cream is sunscreen. Okay, the sunscreen we are using in the hot weather. So, between the sales of sun and cream and sales of cold drinks, one would expect, assuming spending money to be unlimited. So, you are having the spending money is unlimited. So, what is the correlation here? Is it positive but spurious correlation, negative there is a correlation but spurious. It's a positive correlation indicating direct causation, negative correlation indicating direct causation. So what is your answer for 2.30? Right? Netra is choosing A. Is it? Balini A. Abhirami A. Ahmad Fazmi. You know, guys, people use this suntan cream or sunscreen, right? For sunblock. In a sunny weather, they have to protect their skin from the sunburn. Commonly, it is used at beaches, swimming pools, some outdoor parking with hot weather, they will use. The cold drinks are what? Cold drinks like soda, iced tea, juice. They are sold more when the weather is hot because people want to cool down their bodies, right? Right. The question is, what kind of correlation exists between these suntan cream sales and cold drink sales? Assuming people have unlimited money, it means if people don't worry about money, will the sale of suntan cream and cold drinks increase together or oppositely? Does one cause the other? Or are they just related of for another reason? Right? The correct answer is, as you all said, the A is the correct answer. Because there is a positive relationship, guys. Right? Because there is a positive relationship, because when one thing increases, the other also increases. Right? The suntan creams, the sun cream sales increases, also the cold drinks sales also increase. That's a positive relationship. So the answer B is out. It's not negative. And also answer D also out because it says negative relation. So it's a positive correlation is there. At the same time, they're saying something about spurious. Spurious means what? A fake or misleading connection. It looks related that sunscreen sales influencing the cool drinks sales or cold drink sales influencing the suntan cream. It looks like, it looks like a fake misleading connection. It looks related, but actually it is not directly causing each other. So what's the word we can use? That's called spurious. The word that is spurious. So it's positive. There is a correlation between these two items, but it's spurious because it is influenced by a third factor, hot weather. Right? Did you understand? In this case, the weather is the third factor. Right? There's a positive relationship, but one does not cause the other. Cold drinks don't cause people to buy suntan cream, or suntan cream doesn't cause people to buy cold drinks. The real reason they both increase because of the hot weather. Right? That's what the answer is going to be A. Good. All of you mentioned the correct answer. And let's see. Right, 2.13, we have to see some questions and we will come back later. And 2.34, right, here see, choose the appropriate words from those highlighted. Right? When using the regression analysis or analytical regression, there are two items, okay? In these two items, guys, we are using the terminology regression analysis or analytical regression. What is the correct terminology? We have used regression analysis, not analytical regression. So analytic regression is not the analytical regression, it's not the word. So we can cut that one. So actually we have to choose the regression analysis. So when using the regression analysis for forecasting, the X variables are the years or days or months or the level of sales or cost. Which one we have to choose? The years or days or months or the level of sales? As I told already, the X variables are independent variables and known variables. And the Y variables are estimations we are going to do. So according to that explanation, which one we have to choose here? Which one? So guys, we have to understand in regression analysis, we predict something, right? Why? Why is we are going to predict? That is a dependent variable. We are going to see the value of y. That's why the equation is equal to y is equal to a plus, right, bx. So we are predict something using something we already know. The already know is x. The predictable value is y. So what we know the time, we know the years, we know the months, we know the days is usually known. And we used to predict the sales data, cost data. So the level of sales or cost, it's going to be the predictable area, that is the dependent variable, and normally the years or days or months is going to be the x variables because that's a known variables, right? I'll clear the drawings. Did you understand this question first? Let me know that. First, did you understand this question? Vidurshan, Shwati, Subhashini, Shifa, Netra, Nishos, Rinosha, Fazmi, Muhammad, Jamuna, Tanushika, Balini, Aparna, Amjad, Abhirami. Did you understand this question? Please let me know. Right. So let me clear the drawings here. So the actual is it's going to be like this. Regression analysis, years or days or months. Right. So that's you have to know. And 2.35. Right. So this is a question I'm expecting. So the following questions relates to the following information relates to question 2.35 and 2.36. You are given the following data for output at a factory and cost of production over the past 5 months. The output and the cost. See, the output, the units we know, the X value, the cost in question they will ask, we are going to estimate. The cost are in rupees 1000, the units are normal. So in 20 units produced, the total cost is going to be 82,000. 16 units produced, 70,000. 70,000. 24 units produced, it is 90,000. 22 units, it is 85,000. 18 units produced, that is 73,000. So according to this data, we cannot easily predict the line of best fit. Is it a positive relationship or negative relationship? We don't know anything about it. So the question is calculate an equation to determine the expected cost level for any given output volume, right? If management, if management given any output volume, like in 20,000 units, what is our total cost? Or in 10 units, what is our total cost? So we need a formula. Please draw that formula. What does it mean by? They're asking the formula. It means the regression formula. We can use the least square method or regression analysis method to determine the y is equal to a plus bx formula. So the x is going to be the known value. If they are going to give 20, 30, 50, any x value, we can determine the y value, that is the cost. That's the formula we have to draw, right? So let's do this question. I have already this question here, right? Here is our question for our reference purpose. And this is the formula. Anyhow, you have to remember this formula, guys. There is no other ways, right? You have to remember this formula. This is a computer-based exam, so we cannot expect they will give you formulas or something. So you have to memorize the formulas, right? How we can calculate this b value, how can we calculate a value, then it is very easy, right? There is no hard rules here to understand. Right now, what we need from this formula, just understand this formula. We need sigma xy, we need sigma x, we need sigma y, sigma x squared, and sigma x fully squared, right? Then sigma y, sigma x, n, we know there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pairs of data of x and y. So there is 5. So first we have to determine, right, the x, y that is given, right? So x is 20, then y is 82. I'll keep as it is in the rupees 1000 terms, right? So 20, 82. Then if the x is 16, the x is 70. If I'm doing mistake, please let me know. And 24, it is 90, 22 it is 85, and 18 it is 73. The data is correct. 1682, 1670, 2490, 2285, 1873. Right. This is the x values as well as the y values also. Right. So x values and y values. Now, in the formula, we know the sigma xy. Sigma means sum. Sum of x multiplied by y. So we have to determine xy, right? Xy. We have to times this x with a y. And after that, we have to sum it up. That is called sigma, isn't it? Right? So the x and y value, for example, 20x multiplied by 82, we will get 1640. Like that, 16 into 70, 24 into 90, 22 into 85, 18 into 73, you can get the numbers, right? And also, we need sigma x. So sigma x, the sum of these x values. Sigma y, we can simply sum these values. But we need sigma x squared. Sigma x squared also. We can have this sigma x squared also we need. It means x and give me a second. Right? We need this x squared also. So we need sigma x squared. That's what we have to calculate the x squared. X squared means x multiplied by x. Right? X multiplied by x. So 20 is multiplied by again 20. 16 multiplied by 16, 24 multiplied by 24, 22 multiplied by 22, 18 multiplied by 18. So you will get this kind of numbers. So that's a number we need, right? And also the n is, we know there are 5 pairs of data. So n is 5. Now just we can have the sigma, right? So we have to identify the sigma values only right now. So sigma x we have to know. Then sigma y we want to know. Then sigma xy we have to calculate it. Then sigma x squared we want to know. Those all are sum. So if you add all these values, we will get the number 100 here. Okay. The 100 is there. And if you sum all these numbers, you can get 400 sigma y. And if you add xy, the sigma sum of xy, 8104. And sigma x squared is, the total is 2040. You can easily get these numbers from your calculators in your actual paper, right? I'm doing it in the Excel. Right, we will get all the numbers right now. Then just we can replace the numbers in your formula. So first I will do it in a Excel sheet. After that, I will explain to you how we can do it in actual calculators. Right. So first we will determine B. Then only we can go with the A. Right. So the B formula, the N, the N, the number of data pairs times by the sigma xy. Right. So there is a 2 pairs of data. So I'll put 2 brackets, right? 2 brackets and take away with another bracket. So in the first bracket, n is going to be the 5. Okay, this is the value 5. Then sigma xy, it is here. The sigma xy 8104, right? So 5 times by 8104, right? Then the second one, sigma x times by sigma y. Sigma x is 100. Sigma y is 400. That's all. We got the upper part of the formula, right? So the bottom part, we have two items. The first one is n sigma x squared. So the n is 5, right? I'll put a bracket. N is 5 and times by sigma x squared. The sigma x squared is actually 2040, right? I'll put a bracket. Then again, actually, sigma x fully squared. So the sigma x is here 100, not a sigma x squared. This is sigma x over squared. So sigma x is 100. So what they are trying to tell, 100 squared, right? So this is the formula we're getting. So if you solve this formula, we can get the numbers, right? How we can solve the formula numbers? First, we can solve the upper part numbers. So 5 into 8014, take away 100 into 400, we can get the numbers 520, right? Then 5 into 2000, 5 into 2040, and take away 100, the power is 2, you can get 200 as a number, right? So then 520 divided by 200, it's actually, we have to go for 2 decimals. So 2.6. So the 2.6 is the value of B. So this is the B value. So this is the actual B value. Did you understand how I have calculated? So the same thing, guys, you can calculate it in a calculator also. I will use the calculator to understand, make you understand how we can calculate this. So here, this is the calculator I have shared. Can you all see my calculator screen? Can you all see my calculator screen? Please confirm me. Vidurshan, Shwadi, Subhashini. Can you all see the calculator screen right now? Okay, good. Thank you. So now in this calculator, we have this actual model. If you want, you can buy from us. The shipment is on the way. So if you order it, you can take this same calculator, what I'm going to explain to you. So this is the same calculator we are using for the AAT examinations also, AAT students also. So if we want to divide two formulas like this, upper part and the lower part, so you can click here. So there will be two options. So the first, as I told already, we have two brackets, take away, and again, there will be two brackets. So in the first bracket, 5 into 8104, right? So 5 into 8104, right? Then again, take away 100 into 400. So in the second bracket, 100 into 400, right? In the bottom part, we have two items. The first bracket is 5 into 240. 5 into 240, right? And closing the bracket, take away the values 100 squared. So 100, the squared is here. Just press enter. It will give the fraction. So if you want to convert this fraction into decimal, please press this SD. So it will give the same number, 2.6, right? Within 10 seconds, we will get the number if you practice it well, right? 2.6. That's the answer we have got from this calculation also. I hope so. You are with me? Right. Now we have to identify and calculate the B value here. Sorry, A value here, the A value, right? So the A value, it's very simple. Sigma y over n, right? We know the sigma y is 400, isn't it? Right? The sigma y value is 400. And the n value is 5. So 400 divided by 5. So 400 divided by 5, it will give you without decimals 80, right? Then from this 80, we have to take away b multiplied by sigma x over n. It means the sigma x value we know that is 100, right? So the 100 and divided by n, that is 5. So 100 over 5. Well, how much? 100 over 5, right? So 100 over 5 is going to be 20. So 20, but we have to multiply this with a b value. The b value is already we have calculated, that is 2.6. So 80 take away 20 into 2.6, it is going to be 28 without any decimals, right? So the a value is 28. Now we know the a value, we know the b value, y and x are variables, right? So we can say the formula y is equal to a plus b. So a we can replace with 28 plus b is right now 2.6 and x value. So now whatever the given inputs, like the independent variables, it might be whatever the units, 30 units, 50 units, 60 units, we can calculate what is the y value, right? So the y value is the cost. So this is the formula. Y is equal to 28 plus 2.6x. You got the point? You got the point, my dears. Here you can do the same in the calculation also here, if you want. So here sigma y over n. So sigma y is 400 here, right? Sigma y is 400 is divided by n. N is 5. Okay. Then take away. First we will do sigma x over n. So sigma x is 100. So again 100 divided by 5. Then we will put a bracket because we have to multiply it by n. So n is 5. Sorry, b 2.6. So close the bracket. We can end up with the same 28, right? The same 28 is here. So that's how you can use the calculator in your examinations as well. You can do some mathematics. So this question is okay. Can you deal with this? So we have to do x, y, x separately, y separately, then xy, then x squared. Then we can have all the details of sigma x, sigma y, sigma xy, sigma x squared. All the details we need. Students, please let me know, did you understand this question? Do you have any doubts? Vidurshan okay, Shwadi okay, Shubhashini okay, Shifa is okay. Netra is okay, Rinosha, Fazmi, Muhammad, Jamuna, Danushika, Balni, Amjad, Abirami, Abi, Abdurrahman. Is it okay, guys? Right. So then let's move to the other questions area. So that is 2.35 for this 2000 to 2.35. The answer is y is equal to 28 plus 2.6x. And okay, the other question is for this 2.36, the same details used. Prepare a budget for the total cost if output is 22,000 units and identify the answer from below. So if the output is 22,000 units, right? So if the output is, for the same question, here see, if output is, I hope so, 22,000 units, right? If the output is 22,000 units, it means what? The X value. So they're asking the Y value. What is that? Total cost. So we can replace it in the formula, right? So 28 plus 2.6 into X is 2000 units, we can get 5228, right? Sorry, what is that? So sorry, 28 means it is 28,000 because it is in the rupees 1000. Okay, if it is rupees 1000, so 33,200 is the no budget for the total cost. If output is it the same question we are dealing? Prepare a budget for the total cost if output is 22,000 units and identify the answer from below. Okay, sorry, here I have put 2000 units, 22,000 units. So 85,200. So 28,000 because that is 20 is in the rupees 1000 because actually the fixed cost is 28,000, right? So 28,000 is a fixed cost and 2.6 is a variable cost per unit and 22,000 units produced, then we will get 85,200. Okay, so that's the answer. If you have any doubts, please let me know. The answer is in the D. As I told you already, the B is, guys, here the B is equal to the variable cost. Already I have mentioned variable cost per unit, right? The A is going to be the fixed cost. Sometime the A, they can give you in rupees 1000 terms, right? You have to understand. So that's what we have put this 28. It's actually in the question they have mentioned. This is the Y is in rupees 1000. So this 82, 70, 19, 85, 75 data were actually 82,000, 70,000, 90,000, 85,000, 73,000. So when we are actually calculating, this 28 means this is 28,000. So 28,000 is a fixed cost here. And the variable cost we have calculated with the use of variable cost per unit. So it is 85,200 is coming. That is 8.36, 2.36 and 2.35 questions. And let's see, we can do this question also. Right, this question also related with that. 2.37, right? The following information relates to question 2.37 and 2.38. Sales of product B over the 7-year period from year 1 to year 7 were as follows. Year 1 to year 7 as follows. So the year and the sale of B. What is the X value, guys? Here we can take X values as a year or sales. Always X is an independent variable and X is the known variable. And the estimation variable is going to be Y. So the X variable we can take as a years, right? Year 1, year 2, year 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We can take it as a we can take it as a Y values because calculate the trend line of sales and forecast sales in year 8. So this forecasting value is the Y value. So the years are Y value. And we can take the sales of B 22. No. The sales of B 22,000, 25,000. These are Y values because we are going to estimate these numbers. And the years 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We can take it as an X value. That's an independent variable, right? So the sales of B are going to be the dependent variable. So calculate the trend line of sales and forecast the sales year in year 8. So forecast is sales in year 8. So the years should be an X values, right? Okay, let's draft some sort of ideas here. This is the 2.37. So we can have the X value, Y value, and XY. And as I told you, X squared. So we can take years as an X values because we are going to forecast the actual sales in the year 8. So the sales is going to be the Y value, right? Forecasting value Y. So here we can take it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the 7 years data are there. And the Y 22, 25, 24, 26, 29, and 28, and 30. So XY already you know. X is time or multiplied by a Y. So we can get these numbers. Then X squared means X is multiplied by X. Right? So we can get these numbers. You can do it individually, but in Excel I can do it very easily. So then if I sum it, as we already get these numbers, we can get all the sigma values of X, all the sigma values of sigma Y, all the values of sigma XY, and these values. So the sigma X is 28. If you add all the things, you can get 28. Then sigma Y, if you sum, 184. Then sigma XY is 771. Sigma X squared is 140. Right? So we got all the numbers. Then we can take the B values. So we can calculate the B values. So this is the formula. We already know the formula. So according to the formula, we can draft. So here see the n. We are using 7 pairs of data. So the n is here. It's a 7. So n, the first bracket and the second bracket. In this first bracket, n is going to be 7. 7 times by sigma x y. Right? 771. Then take away sigma x, that is 28, times by sigma y, that is 184. Give me a second. All right. So that's the upper part. And the down part, n is equal to 7, right, in the bracket, 7 sigma x squared, sigma x squared, that is 140. Then sigma x fully squared, it means 28 squared. Right? So this is the formula. So now we can solve the upper part first easily. 7 into 771 and take away 28 into 184. We can get the number 245. Right? So there is no decimals involved. It is 245 only. And the down part is 7 into 140 and take away 28. The power value is 296. There is no decimal values. So we can get the BS with a decimal, 2 decimals, 1.25. Right? This is the B value then. The B is equal to 1.25. And the A value is going to be sigma y over n. Sigma y is 184. Okay. So that is 184. Sigma n is 7. Right? So this is going to be 26 point. There is some decimal points. If you are gonna receive some decimal points, do it in the calculator directly. That's make more sense, right? So sigma y over n. So sigma y over n. So the sigma y is going to be 184. and the n is 7. Then we are gonna take away sigma x over n. Sigma x is 28, right? And the n is 7. I'll put a bracket times by the b value, that is 1.25. Close the bracket, press equal, make it as a decimal, 21.28, right? So 21.28 we can make for two decimals. Here is the 5, so we can make it as a 9, isn't it? So 21.3, let's say 21.3, 21.3 for one decimal. So the actual question is calculate the trend line of sales and forecast the sales in year 8. So the trend line is going to be y is equal to the A 21.3 plus the B is 1.25x. That is the trend line. And if we want to forecast the year 8, we know that is the x value we have used, the years. So we have to put the years here. So y is equal to, right? And also guys, you have to remember this 21.3, okay? This 21.3, the sales value already in the rupees 1000 units. So the fixed cost is going to be 21,300, right? So the y value first we will determine in using this calculator. So 21.3 plus 21.3 plus 1.25 into the x values they are asking is the 8th year. So the 8th year, right? 31. So in two decimals, 31.300. So 31 means, as I told already, 21.3 means this is a rupees 1000 value. So you have to times by 1000 to get the actual value 31,300. So this is going to be the estimated total sales, right? If it is a sales, right? So if it is 31,300 means 31,300 in the A answer, right? So the actual answer is going to be A. So I hope so you understand through this formula. So 2.37, it's there. And let's see the 2.38 also regarding this question. Calculate the trend line of sales and forecast the sales in the year 9. So in the year 9 also the same line, right? So the same line. But the year 9, how can we do that? 21.3, right? Plus same 1.25, we have to put 9, year 9. Then we will get this number, right? So then 32.550 times by 1000, 32,550. So the answer is going to be the C. Same, using the same formula, the trend line, we can forecast for any years. So that is 2.38. So 2.39 we cannot do, and 2.40 we cannot do. 2.40 also we have to study something. 42, right? 42 we can do. See this question. The correlation means that low values of one variable are associated with the low values of other, and the high values of one variable are associated with the high values of other. What's the term we are using? Is it a positive correlation, negative correlation, or no correlation? Low values associated with the low items of another variable, and high values associated with the high values of other variable. What is that? It's going to be positive relationship, as we have discussed earlier. That is 2.242. And 2.43, we have to study something. And 2.44, also we have to study. 2.45, we have to study. Right. Now, let's come up with the theories area. Now you know the formula, you know how to do this line of best fit and regression analysis. And the regression lines and time series, guys, the regression analysis can forecast future trends. So as we did in the question also, we did some forecast for the future years, right? With the use of the historical time series. Time series means with the time, how the data is changing for each and every years, right? We can do forecast. So it's useful for future predictions. That is regression lines and time series. And reliability of regression forecast. The regression forecasts are useful but not perfect. You have to remember these regression analyses are not perfect prediction of the future. Somehow we are in very near perfection, but not a perfect, because the perfects affects the reliabilities are the factors affecting reliability are linear relationship assumption, because the actual relationship might be non-linear, but we are assuming there are some linear relationship between two variables, but in practical there is no linear relationship, there might be some non-linear relationship. And single predictor assumption, reality often involves multiple variables affecting outcome. So here only the x values, the independent variables, are deciding the y values, but in reality there are so much of variables that deciding the y values, the dependent variable. So the single predictor assumptions, linear relationship assumptions are, it is affecting the reliability of these assumptions and this cost estimation. And we are historical reliability assumptions, we are rely on the historical data. They assume the past trends will continue. There will be some technology changes, there will be some external factor changes. We cannot rely on the past data as 100%. So the historical reliability assumption also one of the major drawbacks of this analysis. And there is one important thing is interpolation versus extrapolation, right? So interpolation means, guys, the interpolation estimating within known data range. It means the reliable. We know some data points, some pairs of data. We are estimating within the known data range. It's called interpolation. So interpolation means using a line of best fit. That means the line, right? Using a line of best fit. This is an important word, okay? A line of best fit to predict a value within two extreme points of the observed range. That is interpolation. But extrapolation, in the sense, estimating the outside data range, less reliable. So extrapolation means using a line of best fit, right? We are using the line of best fit, that may be a formula, to predict a value outside the two extreme point, right? Outside the two extreme point, the low values and high values. That is extrapolation, right? So you have to know these theory areas to do some sort of questions. And there is a question about this interpolation, extrapolation, but I don't know where it is. So when it comes, we will discuss that, right? And the other factors affecting the reliability is amount of data we are using. The limited data sets, it means if you are using less than 10 pairs, the reliability is very low. Your estimation is going to be very non-reliable. And the data accuracy, incorrect data reduces the forecast reliability. So the data accuracy, amount of data, are you doing interpolation or extrapolation? The historical reliability assumption, single predictor assumption, linear relationship assumptions are the factors affecting the reliability of this linear regression analysis method, not the regression forecast method, right? And the reliability indicators are the correlation coefficient and coefficient of determination. There are two variables, or there are two formulas we can use to see the reliability, right? So the correlation coefficient means it indicates the relationship strength and the direction. The R squared means coefficient of determination. It means the percentage of Y's variation explained by X variations. It means if the percentage is saying the R2 is coming 0.8, 80 percentage of the results of Y, it by the X change. 20 percentage is outside factors. So the high R2, high coefficient of determination means high reliability of our estimation. So you can get to know once we do the questions. So the advantages of this regression analysis, guys, clearly defined mathematical best fit line, because we know the y is equal to a plus bx line. We are clearly defined the mathematical best fit of line. And it is efficient use of data. Even small set yield good results. Only 10, 11 sets of data, we can get some sort of good estimation of the future. And statistical testing can measure significance here, and effective for linear processes and approximating short range nonlinear relationships also. These are the advantages you have to know about this linear regression analysis. And the other part, the final part, is cost estimation using correlation coefficient and rank correlation. So there are two things. Correlation coefficient, there is another one formula we will do. Correlation coefficient, and the another one is rank correlations. We are going to do some rank correlation also in the question. So what is that? The correlation coefficient means, guys, the correlation coefficient, that means the R. We will give the actual terminology R, right? So it measures the linear correlation between two variables, right? Remember, only the linear correlation between the two variables, also called product movement correlation, Pearson's correlation coefficient, right? Pearson's product movement correlation coefficient. The value of R always, right? Remember this word always, always falls between -1 and +1, right? We will have the formula. If you will end up with -1 and +1 ranges. The closer is to +1 or -1, the stronger the relationship. -1 mean stronger negative relationship. +1 mean stronger positive relationship. So the formula actually is here. The formula is here, guys. You have to remember this formula, memorize this formula also. Correlation coefficient R is equal to n sigma xy, take away sigma x, sigma y, full root number of times, the number of pairs, sigma x squared, take away. This is how the formula is going. So in this formula, the xy, the paired variables, n is the number of paired data points. So I will explain to you how we are gonna do this one. So the interpretation is, if you get an R from this formula, it means the correlation coefficient, if it is +1, perfect positive correlation, because it won't go beyond +1. If you got -1, that's a perfect negative correlation. Then R, if it is equal to 0, there is no correlation. So this is how we are gonna introduce. And the correlation in a time series, guys, correlation exists if there is a relationship between time and recorded values, right? If you are using the time also with the recorded values like years or months with the recorded values, there is a correlation between the time series. So time is treated as X. Always the time is treated as X. Time means it might be years, it might be months, it might be quarter. So simplify it numerically like 0, 1, 2, 3 instead of actual years. So the choice of starting X value does not affect the correlation coefficient R. If you are starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, no problem. If you are starting from 1, 2, 3, no problem. And the coefficient of determination, simply you have to put a square in the R. R squared is coefficient determination. So coefficient correlation is R. If you are putting some square, the coefficient of determination. So the R2 shows the proportion of variation in one variable explained by other variable. So clarifies the practical meaning of the correlation coefficient. So example is, if R is equal to -0.992, then R2 is equal to 0.984, because 0.992 power 2 you can get 0.984. It means 98.4% of the variation is explained by the x value. The y is changing 98.4% only by the x value, not with the external factors. So the high R2 coefficient of determination implies strong predictability, leaving minimal variations unexplained. So the practical interpretation is if R2 is equal to 0.81, 81% of the changes in the y, the dependent variable, is explained by x variance. Means the x variance is influenced 81% of the changes for the y. The 9% is changed by the, not only 9, 11%, right? Yes. So the 100 take away 81, it is going to be 19. So 19 percentage by external factors. So 81 percentage, it's only by the independent variable x. So this doesn't imply direct causation. So this is an important word. This doesn't imply any direct causation. So if we are doing this R2, it doesn't mean the x is only affected by y or y is only affected by x. This doesn't imply the direct causation, right? So the correlation and causation, correlation doesn't always imply causation. So variable may correlate due to chance, like coincidental relationship, logical association, for example, monthly income and bank account credits, right? So common influencing factors like ice cream sales and sunglasses influenced by weather. So there is no direct causation in correlation. So collecting more data reduces the chance of coincidental correlation, but never eliminates it completely, right? So in correlation, we cannot have direct causation. So coefficient of rank correlation. Spam and rank correlation is used when the data is provided as ranks and order, not on actual values. So we will do this question. Useful for subjective data or rankings in a competition. So spam and rank correlation formula, there is a formula called 1 minus 6 sigma d squared n squared minus 1. So this is a formula. We will do this in the actual question. So in this formula, the n is number of pairs of rank data, d is the difference between each pairs of ranks, and the interpretation is here. It will range minus 1 to plus 1. The interpreted identically to a Pearson's R. So plus 1 is perfect positive rank correlation, minus 1 is perfect negative rank correlation, 0 is no rank correlation, right? And handling tight ranks, if two or more items have equal rankings, assign them the average rank. So this is the theory, guys. So I'm pretty sure you don't understand anything. I'm pretty sure, because this is an exam area and also this is a practice area. So I'm gonna practice some questions for you. Then you will understand more. Right. So we will do our remaining questions. Whatever the questions we didn't do that one. So now we have done with 2.30 and 2.32 also we have done. 2.34 is done, 35 is done, and 36 is done, 37 is done, and 38, 42, right. Now we will see what other questions are remaining here. So that is 2.31, right. So, right, delete the wrong words for 2.31. Extrapolation involves using a line or fit or outside of best line or fit outside to predict a value, a line or fit outside the two extreme points of the observed range. So we have to cut the delete, we have to cut the wrong words. So this definition actually in my theory notes also, extrapolation involves using a line of best fit, right? A line of best fit. So we can cut this area, fit outside of. So involves using a line of best fit. So we can cut this fit or outside word, line of best fit, right? To predict a value outside the two extreme. So we can cut these values also, right? Using a line, sorry, line of best fit, using a line of best fit. So we will cut this word and outside to predict a value outside the two extreme points to predict a value outside. So we can cut this outside the two extreme points of the observed range. So this is how it should be. Extrapolation involves using a line of best fit to predict a value outside the two extreme points of the observed range. Right? So this is what it should be. Right? So why this question is because you have to remember the actual definition. So they are testing this from this question. Are you actually remember and understand what does it mean by extrapolation? Extrapolation always from the outside range. Interpolation, we are using the non-range. Right? Right. So being said that, that's the answer. I don't think so you will have this much of questions in your actual examinations, but for the practice you have to know. So this is how it should be. Extrapolation involves using a line of best fit to predict a value outside the two extreme points of the observed range. Right? So that's how the question. So 2.31 is done. And 2.33, here see which of the following statements is or are true of the coefficient of determination. Right? Coefficient of determination. So coefficient of determination means R or R squared. Here see, coefficient of determination, correlation coefficient. Coefficient of determination means the R squared. Right? The correlation of coefficient is R. Right? Correlation of coefficient is, we can see that is R. Actually, that is the R value. That is simple R. But coefficient of determination means R squared. We have to put squared. So now let's see what they are gonna ask from this. So the coefficient of determination, true or false? First one, it is the square of the Pearsonian coefficient of correlation. Is it true or false? It means when we are calculating the coefficient of correlation, we have to square. Right? We have to put that 2, power 2, that's square. Is it? Is it correct or no? I need answer, my dears. The statement is true or false? What is your answer? Guys, it's true. Why? R is Pearsonian coefficient of correlation. If we do square, yes, it is coefficient of determination. This is a true statement, right? R square. And it can never quite equal to 1. Is it correct? It can never quite equal 1. It can, because if the R, for example, see, you know, the coefficient of correlation, it can between -1 to +1, right? So if it is +1 possible in coefficient of correlation, 1 squared is 2, right? Right? So 1 squared is 1. -1 squared is -1 into -1. Again, it can reach the +1, right? So it can reach the +1. So it can never quite equal 1 is a wrong statement, because we can have +1 in the coefficient of correlation. So if it is a +1 is there in the R squared also, we can have the +1. So that's a false statement actually. Right? So then, so this one we can say the first one is true statement. That's the second one is the statement is false. And the fourth one, if it is high, this proves that variations in one variable cause variation in other. As I told already, if you get R2 as a 0.81, it means 81% of the changes for the dependent variable Y, it is from the independent variable X. It is correct, right? It's true. That's what we are calculating this link. The correlation, it can reach 1 or -1. So R2 can reach R2. That's what the B is a false statement. The C, correlation, if it is high, this proves that variation in one variable cause variations in the other. No, we cannot tell like that. Let's raise that one. If it is high, this proves that variations in one variable cause variations in the other. No, this is direct causation. So when I'm teaching you, there is no direct causation in correlation. Can you remember that? Can you remember that point, guys? When I'm teaching you, I told already, there is no direct causation in the coefficient of determination. This doesn't imply direct causation, right? So we cannot say one is absolutely variations cause variations in other because of the R2 is high. So it's called direct causation. So there is no direct causation, right? So the statement is false. So this is how the final answer should come. So the final answer is for the A, it is true, right? For the B, it is false. And also for the C, also false, because in correlation of coefficient, even if it is 0.91 percentage, we cannot say there is a direct causation of one variable to another, right? Right. So that's the 2.33, my dears. And we have to do this 2.39 question. This is about that rank correlation. A rank correlation coefficient is being calculated using the formula R is equal to 1 minus 6 into sigma d squared. And if sigma d squared, this value is 50 and n is equal to 10, R will be what? That's the question. So this is a very simple question, my dears. You don't need to worry about. First, I will do this in the calculator, right? So in the calculator, the 1 is here. So we can put a 1 and take away, there is a subset. So 1 take away, 6 is here. So that's a number. So 6 is here. Then sigma d squared. We know that number. Sigma d squared is 50. So we can put simply, that's a 50. Then in the bottom part, n is there. N they have given as a 10. Okay. So the n value is 10. Then in the bracket, n squared minus 1. So n 10 means, so in the bracket, there is no takeaway value. So put the bracket. N squared is 10 squared. So 10 squared again. 10 squared again. Take away 1. Then close the bracket. Place enter. Make it decimal. 0.696. So if you are gonna take it for 2 decimals, for the third place, if it is 6, we have to make it as a 10 value. So 0.70, it's the most probable answer. If you're gonna make it to decimal, right? 0.70 is going to be the most probable answer. So that's the answer. D is the answer. Jamuna, not B. 0.69, you know how much the clarity they are having in the questions. You see, if you are giving 0.69, the answer is wrong because 0.69696967, that is the actual answer. If you are gonna give to the 2 decimal places, you have to have the correct rounded figure, right? 0.69. If you are rounding this, you have to see the third place. This is 6. So if it is 6, you have to make these numbers to the next. So 0.70 is the correct word. So that's what the D is the answer. This is CA paper, right? So that's what D is the answer, right? So now let's move to the other questions areas. So 2.40, it's actually gonna explain how you are gonna do this rank correlation. So the following data give 5 budget staff performance marks for technical ability and degree of accuracy. The following data give 5 budget staff performance marks for technical ability and degree of accuracy. So technical ability and accuracy, there are 2 variables they are going to check for employee 1 to 5. So the employee 1, they have taken marks 5.9 for the technical ability, but accuracy 5.5. Like that, there are some marks they have obtained. The rank correlation coefficient between the 2 performance attributes and calculated to 2 decimal places. So rank correlation. So rank correlation, there are formulas. I have told you the correlation of causation and the correlation of rank correlation. There is a formula, right? You have to remember this formula. You have to memorize this formula, right? This is the formula. So now I'm gonna do this question. The rank correlation question. Give me 1 minute. Right. So guys, so the rank correlation coefficient we can call it as a Spearman's rank correlation. So if we get an answers like a positive, it can high, negative, or there will be no correlation. So that's how the formula will work. So now what I'm gonna do is, according to this question, I have to have this question actually. This is the question. Give me 1 sec. Right, okay. Right. So now I have shared the actual Excel screen of mine with the formula. So guys, how we are gonna do the rank correlation? So step by step, I'm gonna explain to you. So the D is the difference between the rankings in each set of data. And the D squared is just simply we can do squared. And N is number of observations or number of pairs of data. So we need sigma D squared, right? So first we have to do ranking, right? So the first step I'm going to explain to you, the step one is you have to assign ranks. That is your step one. So I'm going to do some tables method. So we will have employee names and their technical ability, short tech ability, and their accuracy, right? So we are gonna rank technical ability, tech rank. Let's say tech rank, also accuracy rank. We are gonna give rank to the employees who have performance bet. So the good performer we will give rank number one. The worst performer we will give the number five, number six, the last rank, right? So we are gonna assign some ranks, right? So first, how we have to rank? You have to see the data here. So the data is for the technical rank, okay? Just focus on this column. The technical rank column only focus. For the technical ability, who is get the highest marks? I just need your cooperation also in this question. Who got the highest mark in technical ability section? Is it employee 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Please tell me the number. There is a mark 5.9, 5.7, 5.4, 5.2, 6.0. Who got the highest marks for the technical ability? Is it employee number 5? Very simple, right? So employee number 5, we can give the number 1 rank for the technical ability. So the number 1 rank is go to the employee 5. So M5. So I will put that simply M5. Right? So the employee 5 is going to get the technical rank number 1. Right? Then again, the second one, the second highest mark got for the technical abilities by 5.9, that is by the employee 1. So the second rank is going to be EMP 1, right? For the third rank, so below 5.9, 5.9, 5.7 is here, employee 2. So third rank is for employee 2. If I'm mistaking, if I'm doing mistake, please let me know. And after the employee 2, that 5.7, the third one is 5.4, right? So employee 3. So employee 3 is going to be the fourth rank. So 5.4. After that 5.4, we have 5.2. That's employee 4. So fifth rank. Is it correct? So almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we are here also, we are having 5 people. We have assigned rank. Did you understand this step first? Abhi, Abhirami, Amjad, Balini, Danushika, Jamuna, Mohammed, Fazmi, Rinosha, Netra, Shifa, Shubhashini, Shwati, Vidurshan. Did you understand? Right? Right. The same thing we have to apply for the accuracy rank also. Now just focus on the accuracy also, only accuracy, right? So now we are going to rank for the employees. Now 5.5, 5.6, 5.5, 5.8, 5.9. Who is get the highest marks? Employee number 5. So for this employee number 5, we will give the first rank, right? Then below 5.5, the next one is 5.9 employee 5. Then 5.8 is there, employee 4. So employee 4, we will give the second rank. So 5.8, then we have 5.6, right? So employee 2 will have the third rank. Employee 2, that's 5.6. Below 5.6, 5.5 is there, employee 1. So employee 1 will get the fourth rank. Then the fourth rank is employee 1, that is 5.5. Then another one is 5.4, that is employee number 3. So he will get the fifth rank. So 1, 4, 3, 5, 2. Did you understand this also? So this is how we have to assign the ranks first according to the data they are going to share with you. Right? So that's the step number 1. Once you did that step number 1, and the step 2 is, guys, you have to calculate D and this D squared values. These values we have to calculate. Right? So we have to calculate these values. How can calculate? Now we can take this D as a tech rank. Okay? D is a tech rank and accuracy rank. Both are D values. And difference between this tech rank and accuracy rank are D squared. D, and we can have the D squared also. Okay, I'll calculate first, then you can understand well. And let's have the same data here, the employee. Otherwise, I can use the same table, right? Same table here for the D. No, let's have the another table. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have employee column, right? Employee column and tech rank column, right? And accuracy rank column, and the D value we are gonna calculate. Then the D2 values we are gonna calculate, because we want to know these values for our formulas. So employees, now I'm gonna categorize as per the name, not employee 5.1. Just I'm gonna focus on emp1, right? M2, employee 3, employee 4, then employee 5. So I'm gonna categorize this, this tech rank. For the employee 1, this is 2, 4. The same data I'm just organizing in a good manner. And employee 2, that is 3 3. Employee 3 4 5. Employee 4, that is 5 2. Sorry, employee 4 4 5. Employee 4 4 5, right? 4 5. We have mistake. 2 4, okay. 3 3. This is employee 4 5 2. Okay, sorry. 5 2. Then employee 5 is 1 1. So we have got in the order. Then we can calculate the D. D means what? The difference. The difference between the ranking in each set of data. It means technical rank and employee one set of data. Accuracy rank and employee is another set of data. So the D means the difference between the tech rank and accuracy rank. So 2 minus 4, right? Like that it will come. So I have put the bracket. So actually, so minus 2, 0, minus 1, 3, 0. So let's take this bracket method. So it will make more sense for you. So I'll change the format as a plain text. Right. So this is the data actually. Now the D squared means the squared of these numbers. Right. It means minus 2 times by again minus 2. So we will have these numbers, right? 40190, because minus 1 times by minus 1, we will get a plus 1. You know the basic maths, I hope so. Now we can apply in the formula to calculate this part, the sigma D squared, right? So sigma D squared, this part. How can we calculate? The sigma D squared means this is the D squared, the sum of all this D squared. How much it is coming? It is coming as a 14. 14 is coming. So 14 is a sigma D squared is equal to 14. Right? I hope so. You are okay with that. Now the step 3, once you calculate that one, the step 3 is going to be use the formula. Right? We are going to use the formula. So what is the formula? The formula is here. You have to remember this formula for your examination purpose. So how we are going to apply this formula right now? So the R is equal to, that is the capital R we are using for the rank correlation, not a small r. Small r we are using for the coefficient of correlation, and coefficient of determination small r squared. The big capital R is for the rank correlation, right? I hope so. You are okay with that, right? Now 1 minus, as we did in 1 minus 6 into, we can put a bracket here. So 6 into sigma D squared is 14. Then we have to divide this, right, by n. N is number of data we are using, 1 2 3 4 5, right? We are using the 5 people's data here. So 5 bracket 5 squared, take away 1, so you can get a number. So the upper formula is 1 minus 6 into 14, that is giving the answer. No, the 1 is not like this. So we have to have this formula as a separate one, and this formula as a separate one, right? The one is the common one. Once we did the calculation only, we have to 1 minus take. So 1, keep as it is 1. So now 6 into 14. 84. Then 5, open bracket, 5 power 2 minus 1. Right, let's do it in the calculator. It's easy, no? Let's do it in the calculator. So let's put the formula here. 1 minus, so 1 is here, minus, right, 1 minus 6 into 14. And in the middle, 5 and n2, open bracket, 5 squared minus 1, close the bracket, right? It's giving 0.3. That's the answer. So 0.3 is the R, rank correlation. So that's the answer. So here, so if you calculate, the answer is going to be 0.3. And also this 0.3 is a plus, okay? This is a positive answer. So plus 0.3. So they have a positive relationship. 0.3 means 30% only. Very low association. Right? Very low association. So that's the 2.40 answer. And 2.41, guys, consider this question. A soft drinks company has decided to be complete a market survey for a new drink in comparison with other drinks currently on sale in the market. Right? Survey participants were asked to rank 8 drinks in order of preference regarding the taste and then again rank them for looks, with a rank of 1 indicating nicest taste and best looks, and a rank of 9 being the worst. A rank correlation coefficient of 0.95 was then calculated using this data. This means, okay, so just forget about. So they are testing the two drinks, right? So there are some 8 drinks in order of preference regarding the taste and the looks. So they are taking 8 types of drinks and the taste and look, and they are calculating the rank correlation coefficient as a 0.95. What does it mean by? So why we are calculating the rank correlation coefficient? Here see, interpreted identically to PSN, perfect positive correlation, negative correlations. So if it is high, it is a, data is provided as rank on order, useful subjective data rankings. Let's see that question. Okay, come here. Here you can see this, there appear to be no correlation between taste and looks in the drink surveyed. No, if it is 0.95, there is a positive correlation. So we cannot say there is no correlation. So 2.41a is not an answer, right? Because it's same as the correlation coefficient. Right. Then the survey shows that the drinks which taste the nicest are also likely to be rated highly for looks by consumers. The survey shows that the drinks which taste the nicest are also likely to be rated highly for looks by consumers. Is it correct? B. Let's see. The best looking drinks ranked lowest for the taste, or nothing, as the rank correlation cannot be used for this kind of survey. The answer is going to be the B, my dears, because 0.95 correlation coefficient means the survey shows that the drinks which taste the nicest are also likely to be rated highly for looks by consumers. That's what it is, plus 0.95 positive correlation. But there is no direct causation. The direct causation is nothing. The looks directly 100% influence the taste, no, but it's just a correlation. It's not a direct causation, right? That's what the nicest looks are correlated with the nicest taste. That's what it's having a 0.95. So the answer is B. I hope so. It's simple. And the other question is 2.43. The correlation coefficient R must always fall within the range 0 to plus 1 or minus 1 to plus 1 or 1 to 0. This is a direct question, my dears. But I said minus 1 to plus 1. So the B is the correct answer. Right? B is the correct answer. Direct question for 2.43. And 2.44, they are giving some data. If sigma x something something, what is the correlation coefficient? Right? We know the formula for the correlation coefficient. If we put the formula, we can have the answer. Right? I think this is 2 point. We have done so many questions. So what's the question answer? 2.44. Very simple, students. Very simple. I'll do it in calculator. Right? You can see we have to put two brackets for the upper parts. Take away, then one bracket and take away. Now this is for the R, right? Correlation coefficient R formula. So here is the formula. It's some sort of different formula. So let me take that formula to the Excel sheet. Then it's easy for us. Right, so I have shared the Excel screen with the questions. So this is the question. And this is our formula. Right. Using these details, we are gonna calculate the correlation coefficient to two decimal places. Right. So now I'm gonna use the calculator. First, n into sigma xy. We know n is 4 here. Right, n is 4. Into sigma xy. The sigma xy is given 485. Sorry, sigma xy. Yes, 485. Right. Close the bracket. Then again, sigma x into sigma y. So sigma x into sigma x is here 30, sigma y is 62. Right, so 30 into 62. 30 into 62. Close the bracket. That's it. And fully squared, right? Fully squared. We have to put the squared first. Within that square root, right? Square root. We are having the two pairs of data. So we are gonna have two pairs of data. So in the first pair, n, right? So n is equal to 11. N is equal to 4 actually. N is equal to 4. Then sigma x squared, that is 238. So times by 238. Then we have to take away sigma x fully squared. So sigma x is 30. So 30 squared is there. So take away 30, that is squared. So that is the first part. The second bracket, again n. So n is again is going to be 4. Right? 4 into sigma y squared. So sigma y squared, sigma y is 62. So 62 squared. Sorry, n sigma y squared. So sigma y squared is 1014. That is 1014. Very careful. 1014. And take away sigma y fully squared. So sigma y is 62. So here is the 62 squared. So now we can get the answer 0.7619 something. So if you are gonna take for a 2 decimals, it's only 1. So you can ignore 0.76 is the final answer. So 0.76 is the final answer. That also, or a positive one. Correlation of coefficient, 76%. They are correlated with each other. So plus 0.76 is the answer. Very simple, just remember the formula, then that's it. Put in the calculator and everything is okay. Then the East Company suspects there is a relationship between the number of units sold and the number of units returned as faulty. X is the number of units sold and the Y is the number of returns. So they're asking the same coefficient of correlation to two decimal places. The same thing we have to do what we have done right now. Right? So the same thing. We have to apply n here in this question. So in this question, give me a second. I'll take this question. Right. So now I can apply the formula, the same formula for your practice. So n is going to be 11, right? In this question, n is going to be 11. So 11 into, we need sigma xy, sigma x times by y, carefully choose, that is 13,467. So 13,467, right? That's the first bracket. Then take away sigma x into sigma y. So sigma x is going to be 440, 330. And square root. Put the square root by here. N is 11 again. And times by sigma x squared. 17,986. Right. Then take away sigma x fully squared. Sigma x is 440. So 440 fully squared. That's the first bracket option. So let's put a bracket for that here and there. Then we have another bracket option. Within that, n is always 11 right now. Then sigma y squared. So sigma y squared is 10,366. And take away sigma y fully squared. So sigma y is 330. So 330. So we will put as a bracket inside here. And take away sigma y fully squared, that is 330 squared. Then you can give this number 0.629. So if it is 2 decimals, 6.63. So 6.63 is going to be the answer. That's a positive one, right? So guys, congratulations to all of you for your patience and everything. We have done and dusted with all the questions. And I think, yes, this 2.39 also we have done. There is no questions we have missed in your revision kit related to this area, that is your cost classification chapter 2. So we will do chapter roundup in the next session before we start the chapter 3, that is accounting for the labor cost, right? So hope you all of you enjoyed this today's session, and I have conveyed the more knowledge in a most appropriate way. And thank you all for your love and support. See you in the next classes. Have a great day. Bye. See you.